All right, welcome to 52 weeks of live coding.net, and a couple updates here on the O'Reilly book is AWS Plus .net just finished actually. I think final reviews and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there might be a couple things back and forth, and you go to production, and they give you like screenshots to go back and forth on, but basically the content is finished. And I learned a lot by writing the book, even though I have been using AWS for almost 20 years, maybe a little bit less. And so a few things that I think are interesting that might be worth covering would be the the CDK stuff in particular. I think is one of the more fascinating parts of what's going on with .NET. And so I'm still not an expert on it. I know CDK okay in other languages, but I'm going to just dive into it and just see what I can learn. And hopefully this is helpful to people. So what I will do is, again, share my screen. Let's go ahead and do this. We'll go to share screen. And what I will start out with is basically doing .NET. Well, actually, what I'm going to do is go to AWS. Let's go to the console. And let's log in. I'm going to do my two-factor auth here, so give me a second. And here we go. So, yeah, what I wanted to look at is basically CDK. And CDK, if we just type it in, I don't know why my search hasn't been working, but we can go to the documentation here, AWS documentation. And I'm going to go for CDK. And here we go. Getting started with AWS CDK. So as a small primer here, the concept that's kind of cool about CDK is that with CDK, you're basically using the AWS CloudFormation template under the hood, but you're using the native programming language that you like. And I think what's cool about it is that you really don't need to use some kind of third-party tool like Bulemi or Terraform. You can actually just stay inside of AWS. So I think this is a use case that maybe people don't talk about enough, which is that in many situations, it's helpful to just stay within the environment that you're in. And so we see that CDK can work with C#. And you can see how it's kind of cool. You can just make a new bucket, which is maybe one of the easiest things that you potentially would do with CDK. And you can see that it looks pretty clean here. And if I wanted to get more into it, we could say your first AWS CDK app. So because, okay, great, you love it. You want to go ahead and use it. How would you do a CDK app? Well, first up, the standard CDK development workflow is similar. You would say create the app from the template, add the code to create the resource from the stack, and then build the app, and then synthesize to create the CloudFormation template, then deploy. So what's cool about the synthesize step is this is the part that actually creates the CloudFormation template. So there's this intermediate step here where you can have a lot of smarts before you deploy. So first up here, they're going to say how to do this. So let's try this out actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my favorite AWS environments, which is Cloud9. I'm going to build one for the CDK, unless I have a .NET one already running. Blazor could be a good one. Let's try this one. Let's be lazy and not build another environment. Okay, so I've got a environment that's probably has some things already installed in it, and maybe it's got everything I need installed. I don't know, but it's got a Blazor thing. We don't need that. But what I will do is try this out. So I think it told me from the documentation, I'll put this over here. It said do this, CDK init app. Okay, let's try it out. CDK init app -- language C#. And there we go. So it says newer version of CDK is available. To upgrade, run this command. Okay, we'll run it. Let's go ahead and run this update. So in this case, it says do a force. So let's do that. Okay, so we're able to update it. And now if I do CDK init app, oh, I see. But let's see what the documentation says. It says if you're using Visual Studio, yeah, I guess what's interesting is, does it tell us the documentation how to install it? So I don't think they have the documentation here handy to install it, but it looks like it's installed. So let's run that again. It says CDK init can't be a non-empty directory. Let's just say like hello. How about that? Huh. Now I don't know what that means. CDK init cannot be an empty directory. Well, cannot be run in a non-empty directory. Ah, okay. I'm just not paying attention. So what I need to do is make a directory called CDK hello. There you go. I'm going to cd into CDK hello. And now I can run that command. In fact, before I do this, let's do this. Let's say gets this. Let's actually create a get repo so I can keep track of my work, because it's very likely at some point I will be excited to do this again. And so I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say CDK C#. Say this is a CDK hello world in C# for AWS. All right, I'm gonna add a README, and then I'm gonna say Visual Studio as visual. There you go. Not sure why I didn't see that, but license Creative Commons, perfect. Okay, so I got this thing, and then I'll just clone this so that I can check in this example. So we'll go to SSH, copy it, go over here, and I'll just say, go up one level, rm-rf, CDK hello. So I'm gonna just say git clone this. Okay, so I don't have keys, not a big deal. I'll just create those real quick. keygen-trsa. Okay, and now I'm going to print this out. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to put this into my account. Go to SSH and GPG keys, create a new key, and we'll say C#. All right. Now the clone works. So if I cd into cdk C sharp, now we're in business. So I can actually go. Don't know why this is. Get rid of this. I can get this. Okay, so we got to read. And I'm going to say the command that they told me. So I'm going to put the documentation. We'll say how to. I'll put read docs there. And then next, I'm going to run the command, which is get started, your first app, and C sharp. Oh, I see. So look, it does say make a directory. Make sure you create a project directory called. Okay, well, we will do this. Okay, that's good to know. I wasn't actually reading the guide, which is always read intro docs, and then read tutorial docs, read tutorial docs, and there we go. So first step, I'm going to say what they told me, which is this. Although I'm gonna be more Unixy. I'm gonna say and hello CDK. Right. So this is more of the style of a Unix type person. Let's do less, right? So hello CDK. Oh, I need a CD into it. I'm so used to Z shell where you don't type in CD. Okay, it already exists. Well, we can fix that. Right, so if you do -P, it'll basically be idempotent, which means that you can run it every single time. So what I'll do is do this -P. There we go. So that's kind of cool. It's a neat little trick to know about. And next up, we want to init the app. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to init the app. And it's doing some cool stuff. Let's read the docs. This is probably the classic way to get yourself in trouble with a new tool that you're not that familiar with is you don't read what the tool tells you. Sometimes there's bad tools, but for a company like AWS, I don't think the documentation it emits is going to lead you astray 99% of the time. We should read it. So it says this is a blank project for CDK development with C#. The CDK JSON file tells the CDK toolkit how to execute your app. It uses .NET Core CLI, which is pretty cool, to compile and execute your project. So that's a neat little kind of a tangent that I'm curious about this. Maybe I could study this. I'll add a note to myself that says, references. Like this looks pretty cool. Learn more, right? And so, yeah, I'm actually very curious about this. If it's some kind of like command line framework that you can tap into, I love it. Okay, so useful commands. So you would do this, .NET build src, CDK deploy. This deploys the entire stack. The diff will compare deployed stack with the current state. The synth will just emit the template. So I think these two commands, the diff and the synth, are probably the ones that a newcomer wants to really be careful with, right? And spend a lot of your time here versus blindly going into the deploy without really doing some due diligence. So next up here, we're going to build it. Okay, well, there's nothing, but sure, we'll build it. So I'm going to put that into the documentation. And I think I can just do this. So we'll say here, and then go here. All right. And let's do .NET build SRC. There we go. Build engine for .NET. Build successful. All right. And if we look inside of here, CDK C#, we have hello CDK. We have the source. And in fact, we should see right there is our code. Look at that. Cool, right? So this is basically the visual diagram of what's happening. The code that defines our stack goes here. So if we go back and we look at this, what is CDK? We can look at the diagram, right? So you can see here there's an app, which can be run in a language. There's the stack, which would define, basically like a cloud formation type thing. And then there's the construct, which is each individual unit of work. If you were going to do work to SQS, it would be a construct, Lambda would be a construct, bucket, etc. Right? So now that we understand those principles, let's keep going. So it says list the stacks in the app. Okay, I like it. Let's go next. Let's list the stack. So we can do this. Whoops. Well, yeah, and then we'll put a note here that says now list stack. And we'll put that in. Okay, so we know the command to list the stack is CDK ls. I could see how you could put all this into like a make file, which would be kind of cool. And it's just less code to type. Oh, there we go. So we have a stack called hello CDK stack. Now, where did it get that name? I don't know, but maybe it'll tell us. If you don't see that, I see. Hello CDK stack. I must look at the directory. Maybe that's what they told us above, and it creates like camel case and then adds stack to it. Okay, so now we want to add an Amazon S3 bucket. Wow, this is exciting. And it's in a great language like C#, which is compiled and has awesome development environment. So, very, very cool. So let's copy this. So we're going to run the command in the directory. Okay, we'll do that. Thank you. Now let's stack, add code for AWS S3. So we'll do this. It's truly shocking, actually, how sophisticated .NET really is. Okay, we couldn't find any projects. Let's double check what the documentation says. Oh, so go up one directory, maybe? No. .NET add package. At this point, your app doesn't do anything. Let's add an Amazon S3 bucket, install the S3 package from the constructs library. .NET add package, AWS. Now, do I need to install something? That could be an issue. Could not find any projects. Weird. What do you mean I couldn't find any projects? Read this one more time. So you do ls. In this source hello CDK directory. I see. So that's kind of subtle. So we want to do this in in, we'll put a note in. I was almost going to try that source. So let's change into there. Source. Okay. So we'll do this into, add the code into that directory. Run this command in there. I don't know if you can, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to like explicitly do the path, but there we go. Amazing. I love it. Okay. We got over what was maybe a deal breaker for me for a second. Now define a bucket in the stack using the bucket constructs. So again, a construct is like a unit of work you're going to do, like a resource in AWS. And in this case, we don't want to do my bucket because we're going to change this file because bucket names are unique. So we'll have to change that. But let's copy this. And we'll go to hello CDK stack. We'll go here. There we go. And if I just swap that out, there we go. Boy, isn't this beautiful? So we can say my first bucket, and I'll put today's date, awaits 022022. That looks probably unique. Okay, next step, what do we do? So bucket is the first construct we've seen. So what does it do? It takes 3 parameters, right, which are scope. This is the parent ID, is ID of the bucket. Props is a value that define the properties of the bucket. We only do 1, which is versions true, which is interesting. And now we do synth. Okay, I love it. This is like getting right into it real quick. Okay, do synth it, synth things. Okay, there we go. And now let's do cd synth. Run that. And, but do I need to go up a level? So this is one of the tricky things. I think you need to go back to here. Ooh. The type stack exists. Uh-oh. Well, let's take a look at this. Oh, did I already create this stack? I must have created the stack before in the past, which makes things more complex. Well, I guess let's see how you delete a stack. Let's see, deploy. How do you clean it up? Okay, deploy. Let's do this. Yeah, let's nuke this sucker from orbit. Well, it's possible I did something like this in the past, and it's because this seems like a weird error. The type stack exists in both CK version. Maybe I created this at some point in the past. I don't know. What does that mean? Oh. Whoa. It says. Oh no. There's some kind of package conflict. I'm currently working. When I add, you get the application uses. I've also tried detected package version outside of. Well, let's see what the actual errors message is. It says, the stack exists both on CDK version 1. It's hard to know. I can't really read this output. Maybe I can make this bigger. Detected. Oh, yeah, this is. I think I screwed things up by updating the packages. So what does the Stack Overflow say? as it said. This has caused I see that CDK2. Wow. So, well, I was close. I was close here. Well, it's actually good to show true failures. So if I was going to debug this, I think I'd just redo it again. That's what I'll cover next week is I got stuck. How do I redo it and not get stuck? What was the problem? Was it that I upgraded CDK? Seems it's suspect to me that I upgraded CDK, but it's kind of good to have a blow up. So I'm going to say its status here, and we'll come back to this. We'll go up on directory and get add star and say adding broken example. So this doesn't work, but I want it to work, so I'll fix it next week. And yeah, so this is a pretty good example, especially when you're not like a true deep expert on a language or ecosystem. Like I'm still, I would call, hobbyist level C#. I have done it in the past, like 10 years ago, but there's some parts that I'm not true expert. So it's possible I'm just updating something that a normal developer would go, oh yeah, don't do that. Yeah, but it looks like I might have updated the CDK version in a way that caused a conflict. So what I'll do next week is try it again, but this time I'll do it without doing the update first and see what happens. All right, well, thank you for showing up to 52 weeks of live coding.net. I will see you next week.